Good afternoon, or lunchtime, or morning, wherever you're getting this from. More update on the John Deere project. It is a running, driving piece of equipment. We had one issue. Our return fuel line, I've already started taking it apart, but it looks like this. All these little T's, like this. I don't know. Lighting's terrible. Here, let me try this. See these T's? Well, these threads up here, they're stripped out. They sit like this, and then the injector screws up from the bottom. Now it looks like I'm doing shadow puppets. So the injector screws up from the bottom. Well, these are all stripped out, so you can't really get a good tighten on it, and they just kept leaking. So I'm in the process of rebuilding them. I figured I might as well record and talk to myself for a bit just to make content, you know. I don't know, tell you a story maybe. Sorry for the background noise if you can hear it. We have a sawmill running in the background. That's what this machine's being built for, is so we can more easily get logs. Right now we have an excavator, a 80s Kubota KX110, one something, I don't know. It digs up the trees, pushes them down, and then we have a Mahindra tractor with a set of forks, and it goes by, and I cut it up into short sections, and then my uncle, he picks up with the forks with the tractor and hauls it, puts it on the truck or piles it up and throws the root ball in a bonfire. Well, it's kind of rough on the old tractor. It's asking a lot. So we bought this loader from our uncle, or we traded some timber for it, but same thing. It's a 83, 84 John Deere 544 HB. It's a transition year. Running driving, the machine's retails roughly in the neighborhood of $30,000 in our area. And, you know, running operating machine. This one obviously was not a running operating machine. It had severe blow by, and it ended up having a lot of problems later on. We thought it was just going to be a simple re-ring, but no, it turned into it needs sleeves because they were damaged, and if we're going to get sleeves, we might as well get new pistons instead of just putting new pistons on old, or new rings on old pistons. And it spiraled and spiraled. We were already going to buy a master rebuild gasket kit, and then we seen we needed sleeves, and then we seen we needed pistons, so we started taking those apart. Then we got down, we pulled off a main cap, and the crank was junk. It had deep scarring all the way around in it, and well, no sense of rebuilding the motor using a crank that was just going to keep eating itself, destroy brand new bearings. So we forked out the $1,300 to buy a new crank, and we just got the machine back up and running. The machine's out of Bartow, Florida, if anyone's been there. I've never been there. I'm from Florida, but never been down there or up there. I don't even know if it's in the north or the south. But, come on, this is being stubborn. There we go. But, yeah, it came out of Bartow, Florida. We don't know what it was doing for a majority of its life, but whatever it was, they were at least taking care of it, because it's got a couple pins that have been redone, some cylinders that have been redone in the past. The tires look fairly good. Like, I don't know how old they are, obviously, but you know, they've been around for a while, and they're not showing any signs of major wear. Only one of them has a slow leak, and that's it. You know, anyone who knows about heavy equipment knows that good tires, that's a big thing. It's nothing more aggravating than getting to a job and wanting to hop on your piece of equipment and just go to work, but you can't because the tires are flat. And so that's a plus. So all in all, I don't think we got a horrible deal. No, we've put about probably $8,000 altogether in the motor, but $8,000 plus some time and labor. See, these were shot. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can see that, but that's shot. So I'm just going through, laying them all out in a pattern, the way they go back together, and yeah. So the only thing you do, Damn dog. Just come along, take 2 9/16 and break them loose. And they're a straight copper pipe. See, there's no flare on either end. It's just a rubber compression fitting, all it is. And you can buy a rebuild kit online, not too expensive. But the important thing with this is when you put them back on, torque them all down evenly. Don't jack them up. You know, when you're done, you should be able to lay a straight edge on them, and they should be perfectly flat. You know, you don't want one high, one low. If that's the case, then you got something cross-threaded or something's not screwed on. You're gonna have a leak. You can tell these been on here for a while. But yeah, that's being stubborn. There we go. But yeah. Happy New Year's to everyone out there in the world. If you celebrate New Year's, if you don't, you know, I don't know. You get the sentiment, I hope. I don't know. I don't even know what to do with this channel. I want to build race cars, but I keep working on freaking tractors. You know, tractors are cool. Like, I like tractors. Like, damn it. Just dumped out a box of self-tappers on my shelf. Running out of workspace. My shop's a mess. But yeah, I don't know. I have a couple ideas for things I want to build. I want to build a service truck so I can go around like maintaining other people's equipment. I can maintain our equipment, but when I'm not doing our equipment, I want to be able to go off and do others' equipment. Stuff like that. But I found a couple trucks local. One was a Chevrolet with a 366 and an Allison transmission. I don't want the 366, at least not in a truck. What I'm thinking, if I do go this route and I get this truck, it's about $1,500. It's a TBI 366. Nothing special. And since it has an Allison, it has a GM bolt pattern and everything, flex plate for that operation to work. What I'm thinking is I want to buy another diesel engine to replace that. But Chevrolet diesels, you got the Duramax. I don't want the Duramax. That's way too complicated. There's wiring, there's computers. I like mechanical. I like stupid, simple. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So I'm thinking like a 6.2 Detroit or a 6.5 Detroit. I don't hate them. They're not the biggest powerhouses in the world, but I've seen a couple of them, and they're pretty impressive. There's a couple guys here on YouTube. They've built some pretty cool ones, and they're pretty impressive what they've been able to accomplish with these trucks. You know, because a lot of people, they just write them off as junk, pull them out, put in a Cummins. You know, I don't really like that. I like taking the things that people know, the things nobody wants, or people consider a throwaway motor, like a 307 small block Chevrolet. No one really gives that a second thought. No one ever looks at that and says, "I think I'm going to build that into a race car engine," because it's not a 350. You know, if it was a 350 or a 327, yeah, they would build it. But people don't want to build them, and I've always been curious. I mean, I'm a Ford guy. I don't hate Chevrolet. My whole thing with Chevrolet is, for years growing up in school, as I was a Ford guy, and a sea of Chevrolet kids. Like, every kid in school liked Chevrolet. Their dad's Chevrolet was the baddest truck around. Like, it would stomp anybody to hear them tell the story. And yeah, my dad was a Ford guy. Like, he had Fords. He had a blue '79 Ford, four-wheel drive, short wheelbase, single cab, jacked up. Truck was awesome. Loved this truck. It was a 302, 4-speed. It was a mud truck. It had big super swampers on it. It was made for off-road. He daily drove it. It was a good running truck. It would do 8,000 RPMs on a stock rotating assembly, stock cast crank rods, low compression, hyper eutected pistons. Like, it was crazy. It was just a little 302. I don't even know if it was a roller motor. I really don't. It could. I was like 5, but in my mind, it was the greatest thing ever. He sold it, got rid of it, and so on and so on. We had a couple other Fords throughout the years, 6 cylinders, V8s, big block, small block. We've had them all, diesel. They've all been fairly good trucks. So I never understood what people's hatred of Fords were. They say, people would say, oh, I had a Ford, it left me stranded. Well, it sucks, because I've owned a Chevrolet. It never left me stranded. I've owned a Ford. It's never left me stranded. My dad has a Dodge. It usually always runs. It has electrical issues, but it runs. It's never left him stranded, although it did break an rear axle once. That left him stranded, but that wasn't a Dodge fault. That was my dad's fault. He thinks every 1-ton truck should be able to pull what a damn semi can pull. And they can most of the time. They don't like it. You shouldn't pull 40, 50, 60,000 pounds with your 3,500. But don't tell him that, because his motto is, if it fits, it ships. And I'm guilty of it too. I put 7 tons of dirt on the back of a 1-ton Dodge dump truck. It was a Dodge 5500 dump truck. I put 8 tons on the back of dirt and sod and all sorts of other trash to take to the landfill. So I'm guilty of it too. But yeah, I don't hate Chevrolet for any mechanical reasons. I hate it out of spite. It's petty, I didn't have any Ford friends in school. I had Chevrolet friends, and I hated, when I'd watch car shows on Sunday mornings and Saturday mornings with my dad, it was always, a small block. And I just got tired of seeing Chevrolets. I wanted to see something different. Thankfully now, what was it? They've started building different motors, they built some 305s Chevrolets and shown that a 305 is capable of impressive numbers. They've built Fords now. They've built 360 Magnums out of junkyards and 318s and LAs and big blocks and small blocks. Cadillac, that's the stuff I like. I gotta grab something. Give me a second. Alright, I'm back. This is the rebuild kit. I do believe this is the rebuild kit. Hold on. Gotta make sure I don't flash my address at people. Beautiful women might start showing up at my door. Fuel line leak off kit, McDonough, Georgia. Yeah. I'd tell you a price, but this don't have a price on it. Sorry. Oh, look, I tried. Let's see. That's trash. Oh, there we go. Oh, wow, that has everything. That works out great. Hello. I'm a goof. I know. We'll take all of this. We'll take this end right here. I need my 9/16. Alright, so let's start the rebuilding process. While we're sitting here, let's just talk about more reasons I actually like Ford in it for mechanical reasons. Ford, their bottom end, and I'm just, they're not stronger. I'm not saying that they're mechanically superior because of strength-wise. I'm just saying reasons I like them over a Chevrolet. Even though I'm not saying that this is a problem for a Chevrolet, because I've seen multiple Chevrolets and it'd never be a problem. Ford rods are thicker, they're heavier, they're beefier. Fords are a factory 1:6 ratio rocker arm. Because of the popularity of the Fox body, there's actually a lot of aftermarket support for a small block Ford. 351 Windsors perform really well. 350 Chevys perform well, but they're overdone. Everybody and their grandpa has built a 350 Chevy, and everyone's heard about the 350 Chevy with the double hump cam that could jump Coke cans in third gear. I don't care. It's stupid. It don't even make any sense. You're talking shit. Like, it's not even real. Chevrolet guys always talk so much shit. Like, they had this impressive truck back in the day, and it was like nothing special. It was like, I don't. I like talking crap about Chevrolet guys because come on, they do it to themselves, really. Yeah, I think Ford guys are no better. They think Ford is superior in every way, shape, and form. Ford has a stronger bottom, or they have a beefier bottom end that I like, and they're about 150 pounds lighter than your small block Chevrolet. Ford has an impressive history of performance, despite what you might think sometimes. The things I hate about Ford is that I feel they shoot themselves in the foot a lot when it comes to potential. You know, they could have had something successful, but they screwed themselves over and built junk instead. And yeah, that just seems to be what Ford does. And Chevrolet, they done the same thing. At one point, Chevrolet said no more big blocks. Like what? At one, and at one point, Chevrolet at one point just didn't want to make a V8. They didn't think a V8 was a necessary thing. They seen Ford's V8 and they just said phooey on that. It didn't make any financial sense. They didn't think it'd be something that was popular, and so. But it took a Chevrolet engineer, a mechanic or whatever, to put a flathead Ford in a Chevrolet and show the CEO that this was something they needed to do. That this was something the young kids wanted. He basically said, hey, if we don't develop a V8 now, Ford's going to bypass us because Ford has a V8. People are taking their V8 and putting it in project cars and making them faster, having fun with them. If we want to beat Ford, we need to do the same thing. And they created the small block V8, or small block Chevy, starting with like a displacement of 265 cubic inches, and then they made the 283. And that was a pretty cool little motor. See, I don't hate Chevrolet. I know a lot about Chevrolet. What I hated was just the perceived superiority of the brand. And their fans are like diehards. Like, they think a Chevrolet is just the greatest thing since sliced bread and pockets on pants. And I don't know. Pornhub. For real. And it never made sense to me. Because to me, it's just a block of iron, 8 pistons, a cam, and a crank. And it's an air pump at the end of the day. Same as a Ford, same as a Dodge, so I don't... But I just chose Ford because that's what I was comfortable with. That's what I grew up with. Ford beat Ferrari, and I hate Ferrari. Oh, that's going to be a problem. These tubes are different lengths. Lovely. So what that means is this is too long. I gotta take it back apart. Oof. I must just love aftermarket parts. God, I love aftermarket parts. Urgh. See, this is the thing that makes me not want to be a mechanic, is when I try to do something, and for no fault of my own, no lack of skill on my part, I can't do it because the parts are wrong. And it's like, I tried being like a, professional and doing stuff the right way, and it just never seems to work out. Because of stupid stuff like this. Where'd it go? Here we go. So here I am reusing the old stuff because the old stuff works. Most of the time it is. It's like water pumps, oil pumps, people just spending stupid money to replace stuff that doesn't need to be replaced. If it's still working, keep running it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, people. Because most of the time, the stuff that came on your car originally Well, it actually fits, as opposed to aftermarket stuff that doesn't fit. And that's true for performance, it's true for stock. You know, it doesn't matter. You could buy a factory off-the-shelf replacement part and put it on your car, and it'd be junk out of the box. You know, I've seen it countless times. Just brand new parts, not performance parts, just normal stuff. You know, brakes for a Honda Civic or something, and it'd be junk out of the box. You know, not working. Hyundai Santa Fe, brand new calipers out of the box, don't work. That's just how it is. I got into the mechanicing world because as a kid I grew up watching car shows. My dad had cars and trucks and it was fun and I wanted to do it. Now I've gotten into it and it's 10 times harder than it needs to be. The stuff that I'm working on is complicated and it ain't fun anymore. I hate fuel injection. I hate it with a passion. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't hate fuel injection." No, I hate fuel injection. I despise fuel injection. I don't. It's not that I don't understand it. I understand how the systems work. I understand throttle position sensor, mass airflow. I understand that. I don't care for it. I'm 25 and I prefer points or distributors. I don't care if they're electronic distributors, just a distributor. I don't like fuel injection. I don't like, I like mechanical. I like when I can take my return lines and rebuild them. I don't like where if let's say I'm driving across the country and I'm driving through the Navajo Indian Reservation in New Mexico or whatever, and the car breaks down and the nearest mechanic shop is 3 miles away and I'm stranded in the desert and my water pump ain't working, and it's I hitchhike, I walk or whatever, and I finally make it to a parts store just for them to tell me, "Oh, we don't have it in stock. I can have it by tomorrow." Tomorrow doesn't help me. I need it now. That's why I don't like it. Most stores will have Ford or Chevrolet parts on stock, either in their store or in a nearby store that can get it to you really quickly. I would say Dodge too, but I've had bad luck with getting Dodge parts locally. I went into a shop. I was working on a Jeep one time. It was just a 4.0 Jeep and a Cherokee. It wasn't nothing special. And I went in there to get it, and I did a spark plug job on it. I replaced the spark plugs, and I was going to replace the wires. I called up to Napa and I said, "Hey, I need some spark plugs for a 4.0 Jeep." Guy got on his computer, he searched around. He goes, "Sorry, don't have them in stock." I said, "Huh?" He said, "Yeah, don't have them in stock." I went, "How do you not have Jeep parts for sale? Like, it's a freaking Jeep." Like, ain't that the whole point of Jeep, is that it's affordable and that it's cheap and that it's easy? Guess not. At least at that local Napa. We had a call to another store and get spark plug or get wires delivered for a 4.0 Jeep. I asked the guy at Napa. He's a friend of mine. I wasn't rude about it. I like the guy. It's not his fault his store doesn't stay stocked up. But I asked him. I said, "How do you not have Jeep spark plug wires on the shelf, just like in a box somewhere?" I said, "There's hundreds of Jeeps on the road, like thousands of them." And he's like, "Yeah." He got on his computer. He said, "The last time we sold a set of spark plug wires for a 4.0 Jeep was last year." And I was flabbergasted. I was like, there is no way. But yeah, wait. Yeah. They didn't have them. We had to go to, luckily, O'Reilly's in the neighboring town would deliver, and we were able to get them delivered. But could you imagine if you were stranded on the side of the road? Man, I'd be mad. Imagine if you had kids or something. I couldn't imagine. But, yeah, I don't. It's aggravating anymore. You know, if I knew another skill, I'd go do that. For real, honestly. Sadly, I don't have another skill. I I didn't pay attention in school. I'm not stupid, but there's certain things I don't know how to do. I can read, I can write, I know basic science and history, and I love history. I'm a history nut. But at the same time, I don't know anything about a computer. Someone told I was in ninth grade before I ever made an email account. They told me to make an email account, or no, I was in the library and they said, "Hey, I'm going to email you something. What's your email address?" And I went, "I ain't got one." They said, "How do you not have one? You're 20, or what was I? You're 17. How do you not have an email address?" And I was just like, "I don't have a computer at home, so what's the point?" You know, and they're like, "You should have made one in elementary school, like in 5th grade." And I was like, well, considering in the 6 years I was in elementary school, I moved 4 different times and I went to 3 different schools, things got lost along the way. And, yeah, I have an email address now. I have a couple of them, because I kept forgetting passwords. I couldn't get into the old ones, so I had to make new ones. I don't know if that's good or bad, or if, like, I'm impervious to hackers now because they can't figure out which one's really me. I gotta stay ahead of them hackers, and they keep trying to give me my car's expired warranty. I get so many random calls. I don't even answer them. If I don't recognize the number, luckily, scammers never really call you twice in a row, unless they're persistent. I'd done that one time. I didn't recognize the number, so I didn't pick up. And, yeah, it was the local health department. They were trying to call me to tell me I tested positive for COVID. I'd been sick for like a week. Had no clue what was wrong. I was like hacking up a log. I done went to work for a week. Everybody's looking at me like, "You're not sick, are you?" And I was like, "No, it's just allergies. I'm asthmatic." I'm over there dying. I thought it was just the pollen. It was not pollen, not at all. It was COVID. Realistically, though, it wasn't as bad the first time. Yeah. My mom called me. I was at Walmart. She's like, "Where are you at?" And I was like, "At Walmart buying tools." And she's like, "You need to get home now." I said, "Why? What's wrong?" She goes, "The health department lady just showed up in my front yard, telling me, wanting to know where you were, that you were infectious and were spreading the pandemic around." And I was just like, "No, there's no way. I'm not sick." Because by that point, I was actually already getting better. I was feeling better. I went on oh God, what was it called? I stayed inside and didn't go out. Whatever that word is, quarantine. And I stayed quarantined for like 1 week, and I was already better. And yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, she's like, "You need to get home right now." I'm not really sure. I'm almost done with this. If this lasts, got one more to do. But yeah, I'm just gonna get this finished up, get it put back on the machine, and then we will see another video. This was just a rambling video. You can watch me work or not. If you don't like to watch this, then don't watch it. Can't force anyone to watch what you don't want to watch. Yeah, some things I like about Chevrolet. I'm actually about to build a Chevrolet small block 350 roller motor. But some of the things I do actually like about Chevrolet is that they kept the same bell housing for everything, except for some of their newer stuff. Like, you can bolt a Power Glide to a brand new Corvette motor. It's like, you can't do that with Ford. That does not work. Ford had to change little things, you know, like spread the top two bolt holes out, or change the way the starter bolts in, or, you know, goofy stuff like that. And you don't even know what the motivation of it was for. Like, why'd they change that? Like, did that improve something? But no, it didn't improve anything. It's still just normal Ford. But they changed it for some reason. Where Chevrolet kept it all the same. And it worked out great. And that's just one reason I think Chevrolet has an advantage in some respect, is that when it comes to building a project, if you need a transmission, you just go on Facebook Marketplace, type in Turbo 350, and you get to see a Turbo 350s, and you don't have to question whether that bolt pattern will match my block. You can't do that. Let's say you're building a 351 Cleveland. You can't just look up a bell housing. You can't just look up a C6, because sometimes it won't. Like, a Cleveland shares the small block pattern, but a modified shares the big block pattern. You know, or a late model FE has your standard big block pattern. A late model FE has an older style pattern. It's interesting. Now, Chrysler, they have a big block and a small block pattern. So, kind of like Ford. Dodge is like, they're similar to a lot of every other company. Dodge, I swear, recycled everyone else's ideas. But they still came out with a good product in the end. I don't hate Dodge. I actually like Dodge. Old Dodge. Not new Dodge. I don't like new anything. I don't like new Ford. But putting the last cap on now. We should be ready to go. I just got to put the machine back together. So, I'll end you here. Have a good day.